Are you ready to become a leader and change maker by getting your PhD? Ready to stop stressing and actually take action so you create offer letters instead of rejections? Then this is the spot for you. I'm Dr. Natalie Morse, and I'm here to help you get into your dream PhD with full funding. Let's go. I'm Dr. Natalie Morse, and welcome to the podcast. This one is for everybody. Anybody who is applying to a PhD program or a master's program, or really applying to anything. Because I think people misunderstand the hook. People get confused about what a hook is in this setting. People use it incorrectly. People use the hook and get it wrong. People try to use a hook and it backfires and then they end up not getting in. So I want to really set the stage that it is very common to hear everything on the internet and people saying, we need a hook, you need a hook. If you're going to be applying to a competitive program, you have to have a hook. What the hell does that mean? And where are you getting it wrong? How can we actually do this better so you use the hooks to your advantage and not to your detriment? Okay, before I dive into the nitty-gritty and how to approach this, I think a story will be really helpful to illustrate this point. So I was at a conference recently for academic advisors and super great, continue learning and growing and building my skill set, learning from experts, right? I care about that stuff because I know that it helps my clients be better. So anyway, I went to a session and it was all about myths and the process and whatever. And they had all these different panels, different people who are on admissions committees and things like that. This one is from the undergrad perspective, but I think it still rings really, really true here. So let me tell a story. So they were saying, yeah, everybody thinks you need this amazing hook, same thing, to get into a Harvard or a Stanford undergrad, right? And the admissions committee was saying, the hook changes year to year based on what the administration wants, what they need, what the school needs. Those needs change from year to year. So the example they gave was saying, hey, maybe they started a rugby team. They've never had a rugby team before. So you know what the hook is that year? Anybody who's played rugby, because they want you to come to their school and make their team great and grow the program and yada, yada. Would you have thought, oh, because I played rugby, that's some amazing hook? No, you would not have thought that. And a lot of times we think the things that we do have, our unique experiences or whatnot, are not hooks, because I'll tell you what you think a hook is in a minute. But this goes to show that the administration is valuing something that you might not be aware of because it's not on the internet. It's not on the website. They're not putting right out there, oh my God, we have this brand new rugby team. Please come here. We need you. No, they may not have even announced it yet, right? They may be thinking ahead a couple of years of, hey, we want to start a rugby team in a couple of years. How can I get people here today that make that happen? There's no way for you to know their exact desires and want. There just isn't. So that should be a little bit freeing, right? I guess it can be scary because you're like, hell, if I don't know what they want, what am I supposed to do? But the thing is, this is not an exercise in trying to read their mind and do only what they want. This whole application, this PhD process, the application is part of the PhD. How you do this, your PhD is already started once you start really taking the application process seriously. So as you're setting all that up, thinking about what you really want and what you're going to bring to the table is more important than trying to people please, right? Trying to perfectly show that other person that I will do exactly what you want, right? That's not the goal of this. That's not the goal of your PhD. It's not the goal of your career to people please the whole time. So how you start this process is going to bleed into everything else and hopefully set things up for success or possibly set them up for failure. But that's a different story for a different day. Okay, back to the hook. So if I put this in PhD language, the department needs shift every year, and you don't know exactly what new grants are coming, what the administration is wanting, if they're doing a partnership with another university, a different part of the country or a different part of the world. Maybe they have a new partnership starting with an organization in France, and you happen to be a fluent French speaker. That could be an amazing hook that you didn't even know was a hook, right? You're just like, oh yeah, this is just what I do. But they see that and they're like, shit, we want this person. So again, I want you to just think about hooks a little bit differently. I want you to think about my value, my expertise, what I'm bringing, as opposed to, let's just dive into what I hear a lot from people when they're talking about hooks, or what I read a lot when I'm reviewing client documents and things, working with my people on creating their best applications. So a lot of people think that a hook is something that grabs your attention, doesn't let you go. It has some emotional surprise or shock, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened to you, right? Or makes me fall in love with you, where I'm just like chuckling along, where I feel like we're best friends, where I'm like, oh my God, I love this person, I'm rooting for them. Okay, I like some of those elements. I think all of those things are good things. To be honest, I do want to fall in love with you. I do want your attention to be hooked on this page as opposed to scrolling your phone when you're reading the application, right? I do want all those things. However, they're not the most important thing. And if I'm spending my time and energy and my valuable word space, right, on these things and not other parts of the essay that I need to hit, it's going to fall flat. Here's some examples of things that I see people trying to use a hook on. Her last words to me were, and this happens a lot in many fields, but a lot in like maybe the biology or medical or things where they're like, my grandmother died and her last words were to me, blah, blah. And then that's why I want to do cancer research. Don't love it. Or then the thing of the emotional shock where after surviving my house burning down, I rebuilt it brick by brick. Okay, doesn't really, again, translate to why you're going to come here necessarily and do great work. So these are hooks that can be used. They're not my favorite, and I think we can do better. So what a PhD hook is makes me see you as capable and resilient. Those are very important in the PhD. I need to see you as a person who can come in here and get shit done. I need to see you as a person who can come in here and have failure happen to them again and again and keep going. Because that's, sorry, newsflash, the entire thing of a PhD is just failure. You're failing through it and then you're learning and then you're going to get it done, right? Every failure leads to success if you do it correctly. And then the other thing, so that's number one, is make me see you as capable and resilient. Number two, make me want to work with you. Just because I think you're capable doesn't mean I necessarily want to work with you for 4 years. No, right? So there is some personality here that I do want to see. And number three, make me want to be associated with your success today and your future success. If you really boil it down to these relationships and how the PhD works with mentors and faculty and advisors, they really are excited for everything that you're going to create, not only for you and the world, but they're also like, hey, it grows what I have done tangentially. We don't do anything in a vacuum. And so when we get to help the next generation do what they want to do and create bigger impacts, we feel a part of that. And we want to be excited to work with you to have all these successes that are created now and in the future. So the three things a PhD hook should be: make me want to see you as capable and resilient, make me want to work with you, and number three, make me really want to be associated with you and your success. It sounds simple, right? Okay, Natalie, that's all well and good, but what about the personal statement, right? We've got a statement of purpose, which I hear you can be a little bit more technical. But what about the personal statement? Don't I need to have some wow, amazing emotional hook there? And I will tell you, I agree, the personal statement can be a little bit more personal. However, the goal of that statement is still to show why you're going to come here and be successful. The goal is not for me to see every hardship you've overcome and be like, oh, wow, seeing that person is like a pity person. It's also not meant for me to see every crazy thing you've done and been like, wow, that person's a maverick. That person's just a visionary, right? I think those are two extremes. I don't think that anybody wants to paint themselves in either category, but I do see that we tend to err on certain sides of that very frequently, draw on those tropes. Here's an example. Everyone in my family went into medicine, but I wanted to go into history. Look, I'm so special. I'm so unique. I bucked the trend. Nah, don't love it. If you have something like that, I don't know how it's relevant, to be honest. If you're going into history and the fact that everybody else in your family was in medicine, I don't know how that's relevant. And I don't know how that shows that you're going to come in here and crush it. I would use your space more judiciously. If you have a personal story, this can be a good place to put it. You can weave things in. I've seen people do this very well, where they talk about maybe growing up in a different environment. So this happens for people who may have grown up in different international developing countries, or even also in the US, in poverty, in rural areas, in different communities, that things were very different, right? That is a story to tell, how you did overcome that, how you did change, how you did make decisions for yourself to move forward. Those things make sense. So I don't want you to take out all of your personal stories. I think they make absolute sense when you're showcasing how you use them to get where you're going. Here's an example, right? You could talk about, this is true for me, I was the only female in my all-male engineering group when I was working, and that's absolutely true. It was a tech R&D, AI development at a Fortune 500, and I was the only female in that group. We were all PhDs. They were all PhDs in computer science. I was a PhD in environmental engineering, but I had done a lot of algorithm development, things like that. So anyway, I was qualified to be there. But I could see people using this in an SOP or personal statement and being like, I was the only female in my all-male engineering group, and it was often isolating. But I learned to persevere and overcome these challenges. Blah, 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 something in that vein. Meh. A doesn't tell me anything about you, how you persevered, right? You didn't show me what you did that was so challenging. And I don't know that I believe you that it was isolating, right? There could have been a million people in that situation, had a million different experiences. So you need to show me what happened, right? Like, they put my desk on the other side of the room and I wasn't allowed to talk to people, right? That's a different thing. I can understand now more, okay, wow, there were challenges there. But like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know, you worked in a cubicle with other people in cubicles and then you went home. Like, what was the challenge, right? How did you overcome it? What did you do? So a way that I may speak to that a little bit more, it was being something like, hey, as the only female in my all-male engineering group, I not only learned to speak up, speak clearly, and share ideas, I also learned to mentor others who were different than me, because there were only men to mentor at that point, right? And then I even recruited the next female engineer to our group. Then I can talk about how I used what I had learned and my experiences, and then was able to create opportunities for others. That is a good hook. That's a good hook of what I learned, how I did it, and what changed. I didn't lean on the emotional whiplash thing. I didn't lean on it was so isolating or so challenging. I just said what was happening and how I moved through it. A lot of times people think that they need the emotional whiplash, that they need the highs and lows, and that they have to tell me exactly how devastating something was. And I don't think that that's true. I would, again, suggest that you think about how you're going to articulate your value, articulate why you're the best candidate, more so than the emotional whiplash. Don't forget that your hook is unique to you. Just like the rugby person didn't know that playing rugby was their hook, you probably have amazing things that you've done. I want you to showcase those. First and foremost, a good practical advice would be to write your application, write your essays, whatever you need to. And if you're having trouble with the introduction, because most people think that's where the hook needs to be, save that part till later, right? You don't need to stress out about it right now. Let's get the meat of what we need done, so that way when they are reading this, they're excited to work with you, and they're going to identify the hooks throughout that make sense to them, that talk to them, that speak to them, and you don't know what that is. So I promise you, put your best foot forward, remember your value, show up authentically, and you are going to crush it. If you do want to work with us in more depth, this is the work we do with our clients day in, day out. You can book a call. We'll talk with you, talk about your ideas, talk about what makes sense, and then we'll get it done. All right. See you soon.